not much, and then we're going to go into the slides. I got a throat that's in your favor, which indicates I'm not going to talk very long. But I was born in, on a little farm out here in New Ulm, Minnesota in 1925. And in 1929, 4 years later, there was a stock market crash, and I want to tell you for sure, I didn't have a thing to do with it. And I'll tell you what I did have to do with it, just about everything. During 1930, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, and even up until Pearl Harbor. We were poor, we didn't know it, but everybody was. We were steeped in a depression. And I know that the political world tries to throw money at a depression, and it didn't work then either. And we have Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who put 25 million people to work at $67 a month, building whatever. But that's only of 130 million that were hungry. And another 12 million were in CCC camps. Anybody was in the CCC camps ever? Anybody here that was born before 1925? No. See, I got the world to myself. I can say anything I want. But we were an isolationist nation. We absolutely were. Every kid in town was washing windows, or ushering at the theater, tossing firewood in the wintertime. Any way you could do it to make money, any kind of thing you could do to get a dime or a dollar. As a matter of fact, during fair time, in those 30s, we had earmarked all the places where these little concession stands are. And the day they're out of there, every kid in town's down on their hands and knees looking for nickels and dimes where that counter was. And sometimes we made a dollar or two. But that's that was the appreciation we had for a nickel in those days. I always kidded about that. If you ask your dad for a nickel for an ice cream cone, it evolved into a family conference. but it was an unbelievable time. We were an isolationist nation because for 25 years they were nursing people with phosgene gas and all the different things that these 50,000 that we had in the First World War came back filling hospital with. And it's only 25 years, and here comes Pearl Harbor. And our nation says, oh boy, we couldn't understand our parents. They didn't want anything to do with the war. We were kids, high school, and you're going to live forever if you're in high school. So, yeah, we were all favor of it. But I got some notes here I want to go back to before I get carried away here. What Japan had in mind was something that very few people know about today, and it was never taught in schools. My kids who are now in 46 and 44 years old, but in their high school days and college days, they never heard any of this stuff. But the scheme of Japan was to rule the entire Pacific. And not only rule the entire Pacific, but to patrol the western part of North America and South America and the United States. They had, at one time, more of the globe than the Roman Empire. They owned it. And they had Iwo Jima, that was their island. They belonged to Iwo. The rest of the islands all belonged to somebody else. And that was the job during the Second World War, to go take those islands back before we could ever get at mainland Japan. But now I'll see, I'm going to skip around a little bit because we're running short of time. I think what I'll do at this point is we'll go into slides. That means shifting around here a little bit. But I want to tell you one more thing that happened after Pearl Harbor. Japan successfully brought a fleet of aircraft carriers and blew the daylights out of Pearl Harbor, and they felt that they had won a victory. But they were so energized by Japanese hitting Pearl Harbor and the success they had had at Pearl Harbor, that a couple of months after Pearl Harbor, on February the 19th, 1942, Admiral de Goma, he was the same admiral that was in charge of the one in Japan, Pearl Harbor. He commanded the Pearl Harbor operation, and his carrier planes carried out a successful bombing raid in Darwin, Australia, way up in the northern part of Australia, in the northwestern part. Would that be northeast? I don't know. That was the other side of the world. But what happened there, they sunk 14 ships and one of our destroyers, and that was Australia's Pearl Harbor. They had in mind, including Australia and New Zealand, New Guinea, and all those others in their domain. I don't know who in the world could possibly think that could happen. But you know, we were so close during the Second World War with Hitler and Mussolini, and then bringing the Japanese Empire in as their pawns. We were close to losing every freedom that we've ever had for 165 years. A lot of people don't realize how close we were to losing that war. We had to win that war. And Roosevelt, when he made his State of the Union message, he said, there is no way to compromise with evil. You can't reason with it. You have to lick it. You have to be victorious. And that was the part of his State of the Union speech in January of 1942 after Pearl Harbor. One of the most stimulating, energizing speeches I've ever heard from a politician. And believe me, I've got the CD of it, and I throw it in my car every once in a while. I'm riding down the road and I listen to it. It seems strange that it's a funny thing to listen to when you're trying to drive, but it brings back memories. So I think what I'm going to do now, we're going to go right into the slides. In this